Today, we'll delve more into another fundamental principle of Snowfield Energy Theory, the dialectical relationship between fortune-telling and energy frequency. First, what exactly is fortune-telling? Looking at various fortune-telling and prediction systems in the East and West, such as astrological charts, tarot, crystal balls, etc. 八卦 and I Ching, 紫微斗数, 奇门遁甲, 风水, face reading. They are all tools for reading subconscious information, regardless of the algorithm, formula, or principle used. Essentially, they are all low-dimensional mappings of an energy system, projections from high to low dimensions, using different algorithms to obtain a projection corresponding to your current subconscious. What does this mean? They're not reading the future, but rather your current energy matrix. They're not essentially prediction tools, but rather tools for analyzing your current subconscious and, based on your current state of mind, presetting a corresponding storyline. In other words, the calculated fate is a storyline along a timeline, one of countless possibilities of your future. What is energy? Energy is a wave-like overall frequency field formed by the vibrational frequency emitted by your current subconscious state of mind. From the perspective of modern physics, the underlying essence of all matter and phenomena can be reduced to the manifestation of energy. All physical existence is a manifestation of energy vibrating at different frequencies in three-dimensional space. Everything you see in reality is, in essence, a manifestation of energy. The world you perceive is merely a product of energy fields of different frequencies manifested in a perceptible form. The level of your energy, its frequency, corresponds to the reality of the physical world. Energy comes first, physical reality follows. In other words, your thoughts determine your reality. Your subconscious determines your fate. What seems predestined is actually a projection of your habitual thinking, whereas limited or unlimited beliefs, seemingly reasonable, yet ultimately a choice made in a single thought. To understand this further, consider the concepts of double-slit interference and delayed choice experiments. Before the future arrives, anything is possible. The outcome influences the course and effort of the past. The logic between them is mutually causal and cyclical. The magnetic field is merely a vibrational projection principle without temporal sequence. Therefore, you can directly create an effect to force out a suitable cause. Once you accomplish something, the matrix will naturally arrange and load reasonable causes to provide sufficient explanation. Even the human brain is inherently capable of automatically finding reasons for things, a kind of hindsight analysis. Everything deemed impossible before it happens will automatically generate a reasonable explanation after it occurs. This can be understood as a patching mechanism. What is the commonly discussed predestination? The conclusion is that there is no absolute predestination in the world, only the assumption that you will not change. Fortune-telling's ability to accurately predict your future is a classic example of reactive thinking, as it reads the future frequency projected from your current subconscious mindset. It's like planting a seed, belief, and the algorithm sees how that tree will grow. The key isn't predestination, but rather your current version of yourself is walking this path. However, this parallel universe narrative only continues to run within the system if you implicitly believe and continue to adhere to the consistency between words and actions, and the unity of knowledge and deeds bound to this path. In other words, these so-called predestined predictions are based on the premise that your current version is unaware and completely unchanging. But what if your thoughts change? What if your behavioral patterns completely change? Then the original narrative, storyline, and trajectory will be disrupted, because the original predetermined ending doesn't match the executor's thoughts, actions, decisions, and choices. It becomes inconsistent. For example, a failed outcome must match an indecisive personality. Successful results must be matched with a persona of positive and optimistic mindset. To accomplish something, to become a character, one must live directly in the state of the finish line, placing oneself in that state, working backward, simulating and deducing, enacting the scenario where the desired result is achieved, and considering the character's psychology and behavior during the process. I've noticed that in life, many people like to predict the worst in outcomes, and often the worst outcomes are easily predicted accurately. Predicting the best is quite difficult. Why is that? This is because the human brain is factory set to have a low-end sense of accomplishment. Without external intervention and self-regulation, without actively exercising subjective initiative and forcing oneself to stand up, most people's psychology tends towards a weak-willed mindset, a low-end sense of accomplishment, and a bad luck mentality. Good things seem irrelevant to us, but bad things are easily believed because subconsciously we feel the possibility of something bad matches our own experience. Therefore, we unconsciously tend to think the worst. And the more we think about it, the more real it becomes, the more focused our energy, and the more we attract that outcome. The more accurate this belief, the more the brain receives this negative feedback fate script, creating a cycle that strengthens the negative thought system and makes it incredibly capable of manifesting bad results. However, all of this can be changed when you realize that everything can be changed, when you understand how it works, when you realize that your habitual thinking is binding you to a predetermined scenario, then you can change the course of events. Projecting something positively attracts good results, and projecting it negatively attracts bad results. All sorts of outcomes exist simultaneously in this chaos, and before they arrive, all are equally possible. Therefore, each choice of your subconscious determines which version you attract. Returning to the topic of fortune telling, since so-called fate is a reactive concept, everything that hasn't happened is unpredictable. How do we interpret the various algorithms used in fortune telling? Here, we need to re-examine the hierarchical logic of the fate system. In other words, we must understand, are you living in a predicted version or a version you set? From this perspective, looking back at annual cycles, major cycles, tarot, and astrological charts, we can understand why they are sometimes very accurate, but ultimately cannot determine your life. At the highest dimension of the universe, everything is energy. Everything can change at any time, and everything depends on your state of being. In lower dimensions, the level of 3D human daily life, human energy flow and subjective creativity are limited. Therefore, the ancients attempted to summarize a kind of pattern, telling you what energy flows are more likely to occur during what time periods, thus forming what are called annual cycles, major cycles, and astrological charts. However, these low-dimensional laws are not meant to limit you, nor can they limit you. They merely indicate the default energy, inertia. For example, if your energy level is higher than this system, you can break the inertia. You can create completely different results. If your energy level is lower than this system, then you passively accept so-called fate, and then you will be limited by things like annual cycles and major cycles. Therefore, simply put, fortune telling, annual cycles, tarot, astrology equals low frequency energy inertia prediction. Your frequency, consciousness, beliefs equals you can transcend it, rewrite it. Only when you are low frequency, doubt yourself and accept your fate, will these things begin to take effect, becoming a cause that limits your life. But if you are high frequency, your energy is higher than the system, they completely fail you. Instead, you control the universe's energy to rearrange your timeline. In summary, a horoscope chart describes the inertial trajectory of a lower dimensional world, but those who truly control their destiny are those who create their own trajectory. Regardless of the school of fortune telling, all methods project lower dimensional images, not the origin. When you seek fortune telling, it means you are in a state of confusion, wanting to read, or rather want to understand the current state of your subconscious. Essentially, you are the true source. Your subconscious, your energy, and your frequency determine and project the final outcome. In other words, rather than saying you are fortune telling, you are actually the card holder controlling the whole situation. You are the one who determines what is calculated for you. Therefore, when you want fortune telling, you already have the answer deep within yourself. You definitely know the answer, but you may be in a state of confusion. You need an external tool to read your true subconscious, to better understand yourself, and thus adjust and fill in any gaps. However, please don't put the cart before the horse. Even the most accurate predictions only reflect your current state, merely a projection of your subconscious. It is your energy frequency that determines reality, not the superficial results. Therefore, never chase after terminal data. Instead, as your consciousness changes, physical phenomena will naturally change with your thoughts, ultimately catching up with your consciousness. Your reading aligns with your frequency. Your environment changes with your mindset.